So map pricing is where a company requires you to put a certain price online. And SK did that to us and all their distributors. And so our prices on SK went up substantially because we have to show the map pricing now. And probably you should talk, you probably are more familiar with this than I. But
yeah, what is MAP stands for minimum advertised price. And so basically manufacturers, this was a strategy where they didn't like the fact that there were marketplaces like Amazon that were driving the price of their product down and that the margins were getting incredibly slim. And so that this was something they put into place to try to counteract that problem, which is like, hey, we don't want our things that we're making to be devalued by this hyper competition in the online marketplace. So we're just going to set this price that you have to sell our product at. So it's like
essentially eliminating competition because everybody sells it at the same price. And
right, but then the problem becomes when companies don't really police it very well. And so what they do is they send out kind of mass listings, but then there's no, it's just a mess. But anyway, so different companies are coming up with different strategies to try to deal with this problem. And, it's a problem for us. It's a problem for lots of retailers. We're not trying to sell things at the absolute bottom dollar, but depending on what the manufacturer thinks their stuff is worth, that map pricing could be all over the place.
In our experience, that whenever a company requires us to institute map pricing, we stop selling it online.
Yeah, we go from selling, any sort of number to zero.
Yeah,
and it's pretty stark. So we're kind of
and so for a company that wants to maintain a good distribution network, if they institute map pricing, that's a monkey wrench, and I don't know what the solution is.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we're thinking of different strategies in terms to deal with this problem. One of them is just to create kind of an Epstein's kind of buying group where, you have a special login on our website. Mm-hmm. You log into the site and you start seeing prices that are not advertised to the public.
Excuse me a second there. Got the phone.
All right.
Keep talking.
So anyway, I've been toying around with the idea of setting up some kind of buying group.
Okay.
Where you get a special login and, we don't advertise, so we're advertising to the public exactly what the manufacturer tells us. Mm-hmm. But if you're in this, super secret Epstein's buying group, then you get to log in and you get to see your special prices, and
right.
It shouldn't take too much to implement that. We're working on it, and that's going to come out hopefully soon.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
because some companies kind of get around that by offering free shipping.
Yes, and
some companies they offer the lower pricing, but I don't know how it quite works. But
there's all sorts of workarounds, and I don't like how kind of fishy it seems. Like sometimes we're like, hey, we're not going to tell you the price until it's in your cart, or click on this button and then it'll change. There's all these sorts of things that actually come pre-built into websites now, because this map pricing has basically created this weird distortion where subverting it has now become a part of business, which is kind of weird.
What it is, it used to be, when you're competing with the people in your locality. But then with the advent of the internet, you're competing with everybody in the world. And that was one of the things that caused this hyper competition that drove the prices down to where people were making 5 or 10% margins on things in order to sell them. And that wasn't good for the factories. It wasn't good for the people selling them.
Right.
And so the map pricing came out as an alternative, as a remedy to that. But that's got problems too.
Sure. Anyway, we could go on and on about map pricing. It might only be interested to a few people, but the thing I really wanted to talk about are these crowfeet. Crowfeet aren't the most exciting thing in the world, but it is a new American-made product. What we're seeing is this is what we're talking about here. Right now, this is the only style, just the open end that they're making. But what we've seen with a lot of American manufacturers that we've dealt with is they're getting rid of their crowfeet.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we'll place an order for crowfeet, and they show up, and they're just some rebranded import thing.
Right.
And we've seen that with a number of lines.
Or they're just eliminating them altogether.
Or they're just like not selling them anymore.
Yeah.
So it was surprising and nice to have an American manufacturer come out with a whole new line of crowfeet that we're the first and only company to be able to sell.
Right. And they'll be up to 3-inch.
Up to 3-inch.
Yeah.
And what are they? Just 3/8 drive or half-inch or just?
No, they're all half-inch drive.
All half-inch drive.
But up to 3-inch.
Yeah. In my memory, I've never actually used a crowfoot, but that they were originally an aircraft tool for aircraft mechanics. Is that right?
I don't know originally, but they were big on airplanes, and the advantage, the advantage is when you have a really limited space to turn a nut, you drop one of those in and put an extension on it.
Right. So anyway, this is something, they're on the website. We got a line of them. You said up to 3-inch, from what, like inch to 3-inch?
Yeah. At the moment, it's 1 inch to 2 15/16, but we've got more coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is a manufacturer, WTA
Tool. Yeah.
WTA Tool. Where are they out of?
Kansas City. Yeah.
They're in Kansas City.
Yeah. Right. One of the suburbs.
Okay. So yeah, a new American-made product. And this has kind of become our bread and butter, which is dealing with much smaller U.S. manufacturers.
Right.
And these guys are absolutely that. So, what else? Anything else?
Well, there's certain topics we don't kind of want to get into yet.
Yes.
But the Eagle Grip, I'd like to get a sample so we can show it, because they should be, from what the factory tells us, only a couple weeks away, and that's.
Yeah, they're shipping the first week of May. I was initially shocked when I saw how much we would have to sell those for.
Right.
But I really just thought that they were going to rebrand the Irwin vice grips. My understanding was like, they just bought the factory with all the machines in it, and they're just going to basically flip a switch, turn the machines back on, change the name, and start making, them with the Eagle Grip name. And that really is not the case at all.
Been re-engineered.
Yeah, it is. It looks substantially better, and
we have German vice grips.
Oh yeah, the Bowman.
It's a company that makes the company that we've got, Bowman, makes them for Knipex, and so it's a higher quality tool than the Irwin vice grip, but the Malcos are even a step above the Bowman German vice grips.
Yeah, they really are.
And they're a tool kind of in the category of Knipex, and it will be priced that way.
All right.
So,
well, we got to go to work now.
Okay.